He wasn't expecting to see anyone that morning, let alone them. In the golden hush of a crisp autumn morning, Daniel Whitmore walked through Hillcrest Memorial Park, just like he did every month, his black coat tugging against the wind, a bouquet of white roses in hand. For 10 years, he'd come here to speak to a headstone. No one answered. No one ever had. But that day, something changed. 4 little girls appeared through the mist, worn shoes crunching over leaves, each carrying a wildflower and a story he hadn't been told yet. The oldest glanced his way, not afraid, but strangely calm. The youngest clutched a ragged stuffed bunny and asked the question that shattered his silence. "Are you Grace's daddy?" Daniel froze. How did they know that name? Why were they at his daughter's grave? And when the oldest whispered that their late mother had once made a promise to his little girl, his world tilted. Were they just strangers? Or something more? By the end of that day, Daniel's life would be flipped upside down, but not because of what he lost years ago, because of what he just found and the danger that would follow. Are you ready to find out what really happened next? Don't blink. The crisp air of October swirled with rust-colored leaves as Daniel Whitmore, the billionaire tech mogul behind Whitmore Industries, walked silently through Hillcrest Memorial Park. Each step along the gravel path echoed with a soft crunch, but it wasn't the sound of shoes on stones that haunted him. It was memory. It had been 10 years since he'd last held Grace's hand, 10 years since leukemia stole her at 16. In public, Daniel was power incarnate. His medical software empire revolutionized diagnostics. But here, beside his daughter's marble grave, he was just a father grieving in silence. He knelt, placing a bouquet of white roses, Grace's favorite, at the base of her stone. "Hi, sweetheart," he whispered, voice coarse from restraint. "Dad's here." That's when he noticed them. Across the way, near a humble grave marked by time and weather, stood 4 little girls. They were dressed in mismatched sweaters and boots far too thin for fall. The oldest, no more than 12, helped the youngest place a few wilted wildflowers at the foot of the stone. Their movements were reverent, ritualistic. Daniel watched them with quiet curiosity. Children didn't usually visit cemeteries, and never alone. Who were they mourning? The smallest girl, maybe 6, turned suddenly and spotted him. Her eyes lit up. She waved. He hesitated, surprised, then lifted a hand in return. They didn't walk away. Instead, they began to approach. "Hello, mister," said the oldest, her tone polite but firm, her red hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. "We're sorry if we interrupted you." "You didn't," Daniel replied, stunned by her maturity. "Just visiting." The youngest girl peeked around her sister, clutching a worn stuffed bunny with one ear missing. "Are you visiting your daughter?" she asked softly, pointing toward the headstone that read, "Grace Whitmore, beloved daughter, forever 16. Daniel stiffened. "Yes," he managed. The girl beamed. "We're visiting Tia Grace, too." "What?" "She means Grace," the second oldest girl explained quickly. "Our mom always called her that. She said Grace is our guardian angel." Daniel's breath hitched. "Your mother knew Grace." The redhead nodded solemnly. "I'm Emily Bennett. These are my sisters, Lily, Sophie, and Chloe. Our mom was Rachel Bennett. She used to be a nurse at St. Jude's Pediatric Center." The name hit Daniel like a gut punch. Rachel. He remembered her vividly, the kind nurse with a soft voice and a calming smile. She sat with Grace on nights Daniel couldn't. She made Grace laugh when he was too broken to. "She took care of my daughter," Daniel said slowly. "She passed away 6 months ago," Emily replied, her voice nearly flat. "But she told us about Grace all the time, said she made her a promise." Daniel felt something stir deep inside him. What kind of promise? It was Sophie, the quiet middle child, who spoke next. "Mom said she promised Grace she'd never let her dad be alone, and Grace promised she'd watch over us." Chloe slipped her hand into Daniel's. The touch startled him. He hadn't felt warmth like that, genuine, human, trusting warmth, in years. "Are you Grace's daddy?" she asked with that sacred kind of childhood wonder. Daniel nodded, unable to speak past the lump forming in his throat. "Then you're the man Mom said would be okay someday," Chloe said. "She told Grace not to worry anymore." Daniel stared at these 4 girls. vulnerable, brave, and somehow still glowing with hope. They were just children, but they carried with them fragments of Grace's memory and something else. Could it be fate? Would you like to place one of our flowers for Grace? Lily asked, holding out a small daisy with frayed petals. His hands trembled as he accepted it. Together they placed the humble daisy among his expensive roses. And in that moment, standing beneath the golden light of dying leaves, surrounded by four sisters who spoke his daughter's name like a prayer, Daniel Whitmore felt something begin to shift. Grief loosened its grip. Silence cracked. A door, long sealed, opened just a sliver. But what had really brought these girls here? And what truths still waited in the shadows of their past? He didn't know it yet, but this moment was only the beginning of something bigger than grief, of something far more powerful than guilt. It was the beginning of family. We're so sorry for the interruption, but we have to pause the story here for just a moment. Let's hear your thoughts. What do you think the real connection is between Grace and Rachel? Could there be a secret that Daniel hasn't uncovered yet? If you were in Daniel's shoes, what would you do next? Walk away or find out more about the girls? Also tell us, what country are you watching from today? If this story is touching your heart so far, please tap like and share it with someone who believes in second chances. The following Saturday, Daniel Whitmore returned to Hillcrest Memorial Park, but this time he didn't bring roses. He brought questions, and a quiet hope he hadn't dared feel in a decade. The wind had shifted since last week, carrying the bite of oncoming winter. Daniel stood by Grace's grave longer than usual, scanning the tree-lined path. Was it foolish to think they'd return? Then, four figures appeared, Emily leading, her sisters clustered close behind. She seemed surprised to see him, but not wary. "You came back," she said simply. "I could say the same to you." There was a flicker of something behind her eyes. Relief or uncertainty? "What are the odds," Daniel said casually, "that a nurse who once saved my daughter's spirit ended up raising four girls who now speak her name at her grave?" Emily's eyes didn't flinch. "Mom said Grace changed her life, that she made a promise, so we make sure to keep it." "But who's keeping the promise to you?" he asked. That silenced her. They walked together that morning, from Grace's grave to the modest headstone of Rachel Bennett, just a few plots over. It was then that Sophie, the quiet one, tugged Daniel's sleeve. "Want to see Mom's box?" she asked. "It has pictures of Grace, special ones." The girls led him through broken streets, past boarded-up shops and graffiti-stained alleyways, to a crumbling apartment building in Southside Chicago. The contrast to Daniel's penthouse was like walking between worlds. No elevator, just a stairwell that reeked of mold and urine. Their unit, third floor, had one mattress, a chipped table, and four chairs that didn't match. And yet it was clean, carefully arranged, as if holding chaos at bay was a full-time job. The box was hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Inside were photos of Grace, journals, and a letter Daniel instantly recognized, his daughter's handwriting. "Dear Jessica, thanks for staying when I was scared. Mom says nurses don't usually stay late, but you did. If something happens, please check on Dad. He won't ask for help, but I want him to be okay. Promise me? Love, Grace." Daniel blinked hard, the page blurred with tears. And then came the second shock. Financial statements, a property deed, an inheritance letter. Rachel had inherited nearly $500,000 from a relative just before she passed, but the girls were living in poverty. "Do you know where that money went?" Daniel asked gently. Emily hesitated. "Our stepfather, Gregory, said it was used for bills, but we don't see him much. He comes late, leaves early. And school? Stopped going after Mom died. We had to move. The school said they needed papers. Gregory never brings them." Suddenly, Daniel's phone buzzed. It was Richard Collins, his lawyer and oldest friend. "I ran a check like you asked," Richard said. "Gregory Simmons. Fraud charges. 2 counts. Suspended sentence. Now he's the girl's legal guardian, but the system's barely watching." Daniel's gaze drifted to the corner where Sophie was coughing, softly but persistently. Too soft for attention, but Daniel had raised a sick child. He recognized the sound. "She's not well," he muttered. "And it gets worse," Richard continued. Rachel's inheritance? Nearly all withdrawn, in cash. Some of it used to buy a used car and poker debts. Daniel's hands clenched. He's using these girls to cash in, and no one's stopping him. But then came the knock, a violent bang against the apartment door. Daniel turned and saw him. Gregory Simmons, late 40s, sweaty, bloodshot, dangerous. "Who the hell are you?" he slurred. "I'm Daniel Whitmore, a friend of the girl's mother." Gregory's expression shifted, recognition, then calculation. "The billionaire? You're drunk, and these girls are living in filth while you burn through their mother's money." "I got rights," Gregory snarled. "They're mine now." Daniel stepped between him and the girls. "You lost those rights the moment you put them in danger." A tense pause. Then Chloe, the youngest, started coughing, deep, rattling. Daniel spun. "How long's she been like this?" "Just a little cold," Emily said quickly. But Daniel touched her forehead. It was burning up. "I'm taking her to the hospital," he said, scooping Chloe into his arms. Gregory stepped forward. "You don't have permission." "Then call the cops. Let's see how they feel about you, your record, and a sick child in a condemned apartment." Gregory hesitated, and for the first time in years, Daniel Whitmore didn't wait for permission to save someone. He carried Chloe down 3 flights of stairs while her sisters hurried behind. Later that night, in the ER of Jude's Pediatric Center, Daniel sat beside her hospital bed, watching her sleep, her breathing finally stable. And that's when it truly hit him. This wasn't charity, or duty, or guilt. This was family. The one Grace might have sent to heal what was left of him. We're so sorry for the interruption. Thank you for sticking with this journey. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Gregory's going to let go that easily? Or is there something darker he's still hiding? What would you do in Daniel's place? Fight the legal system or walk away before it gets too personal? Tell us, where are you watching from today? And if you believe in the power of found family, please like, heart, and share this video. Your support keeps these stories alive. 3 weeks had passed since Daniel Whitmore carried Chloe into the ER, with her fever raging and her breath shallow. 3 weeks since he'd faced down a man who treated 4 innocent girls as a paycheck. And in those 3 weeks, everything changed. Chloe had recovered quickly with proper care. The sisters now lived in Daniel's penthouse, a space that once echoed with silence, now echoed with laughter, spilled juice, in the pitter-patter of 4 sets of small feet. But the battle wasn't over. Gregory Simmons, sensing his grip slipping, had filed a legal motion accusing Daniel of kidnapping and manipulating underage minors for image gain. On paper, he was still the girl's legal guardian, and legally, Daniel was just a stranger. But sometimes, strangers become family faster than blood ever could. Daniel sat at his dining table, once pristine, now covered with homework sheets, glitter pens, and a plate of half-eaten cookies. His attorney, Richard Collins, stood across from him holding a worn envelope retrieved from Rachel Bennett's safety deposit box just days ago. "This," Richard said quietly, "might change everything." Daniel opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside, he found a letter addressed simply, "To Sarah's father." He read silently. "Dear Mr. Whitmore, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and my girls have found their way to you. Grace told me you'd need someone to remind you how to feel again, that you'd hide from love if no one pulled you back. I promised her I would try, but maybe now it's your turn to keep a promise. They're good girls, brave, smarter than I ever was. Please take care of them. And if you do, you'll find Grace again, not in memory, but in them." Rachel Daniel folded the letter slowly. His chest ached. Not from grief, but from the overwhelming sense of clarity, of purpose. He didn't have to wonder what to do next. The courtroom was packed. On one side, Gregory Simmons, freshly shaved, suit poorly tailored, fake concern painted across his face. On the other, Daniel, calm, composed, but inside, burning with a father's resolve. When asked why he wanted custody, Daniel stood, looked the judge in the eye, and simply said, "Because for the first time in 10 years, I have something worth protecting again. They didn't choose me, but I'm choosing them, every day for the rest of my life." Then came the evidence. Rachel's letter, photos of the girl's living conditions, forged signatures, missing funds, and hospital reports. The judge's frown deepened with each page. Gregory's attorney tried to twist the narrative, claiming Daniel used his wealth to manipulate the case. But then Emily asked to speak. "Your Honor," she said, standing on tiptoe at the witness box, "he didn't ask for us. We came to him, at our mom's grave. He didn't promise us gifts. He promised safety, and kept it." Even the court clerk wiped a tear away. After a long pause, the judge finally said, "This court grants Daniel Whitmore full legal guardianship of the Bennett sisters, with the right to pursue adoption, effective immediately." The courtroom erupted. Richard shook Daniel's hand. Lily and Sophie jumped into his arms, and Chloe squealed with joy. But it was Emily's quiet, "Thank you, Dad," that broke him. Months passed. Autumn turned to winter, and snow dusted the city's skyline like powdered sugar on birthday cake. Daniel's once sterile penthouse had transformed. The piano in the corner belonged to Lily now. Sophie's artwork filled the hallway. Chloe had adopted a goldfish named Sir Wiggles. And Emily had started writing again. Stories, poems, about loss and healing and hope. On a quiet Sunday morning, the five of them gathered at Hillcrest Memorial Park, just as they had that very first day. But now the wild daisies they placed beside Grace's grave weren't just offerings. They were symbols. Symbols of promises kept, of new beginnings rooted in sorrow, of family born not by blood, but by choice. As they turned to leave, Chloe looked up at Daniel and asked, "Do you think Grace is happy?" Daniel smiled softly. "I think she's dancing in the clouds right now, telling your mom all about us." The wind whispered through the trees as if in agreement. "We're sorry to pause here, but we have to take a quick break before closing the chapter. What do you think Grace and Rachel would say if they could see how this story ended? Do you believe that chosen family can be even stronger than one we're born into? Why or why not? Tell us, which country are you watching from? And if this story moved your heart even a little, please like, drop a heart, and share it with someone who still believes in second chances. If you love this story, comment 3 below. If it was just okay, comment 2. And if you think we could do better, let us know with a 1. We read every comment and appreciate your voice.